There are many things that make an anime good. Great animation, a well-written story, relatable characters. But what about nostalgia? Some like me have been watching anime for many years, leading me to talk about Deadman Wonderland, a show I loved when I was younger, but can I still enjoy it? To answer this, we'll need to once again dive into this bizarre story. A big selling point this show had back in the day was how brutal it was. People getting obliterated in as many ways possible, check. Edgy opening song, check. And blood-bending powers, yeah, check. For me, when I was 13, this was a simple yet beautiful combination, and in many ways, it was Tokyo Ghoul before Tokyo Ghoul. Here's a little disclaimer before we actually go further into the video. I'll be spoiling both anime and manga. Also, this show had extreme gore and implications of sexual violence, so be warned before continuing. This story follows Ganta after he gets framed for murdering his whole class, which he gets a life sentence for. This makes him end up in Deadman Wonderland, that is a mix between an amusement park and prison, which is not very different from Twitter nowadays. You're like a dark, fucked up version of Hatsune Miku from Vocaloid. Just a glimpse into my dark reality. A full stare into my twisted perspective would make most simply go insane. The prisoners need to eat candy every 3 days, otherwise they'll die because of a collar that keeps pumping poison into them. It tastes like shit and they can only get it by playing games that put their lives on the line. Just think about it like very twisted Fall Guys. But there is also another section in the prison that holds dead men. These are people with powers that allow them to turn their own blood into different weapons. And because they're here, it normally implies they're insane murderers. These dead men are put against each other for VIPs to watch. The loser gets to spin a wheel that removes one of their body parts. I watched this when I was 12. Unfortunately for Ganta, he was given the powers of a dead man by the dude that killed his whole class. So now he's part of this insane but literal circus. There is some good news with him being told that the dead man that killed his class also is in this prison, so he can get revenge, right? Well, yes and no. As the story continues, we find out Shiro, the girl he develops feelings for, is also the motherfucker that killed his whole class. Apparently she has split personality. JK. In the manga, we find out there is no split personality, and this is her grand plan to make him kill her. If you're enjoying the video so far, we would really appreciate it if you consider clicking the subscribe button. Let's get back to the video. I'm being very fast and concise with all of this because I find the writing of the whole story, not just the anime, to be passable at best. I hated Ganta a lot because of his crybaby nature, and now I can see the levels of plot armor this dude actually had. After being introduced to the concept of dead men, he fights against two of them separately that have been doing this shit for a while. Senji is knocked out because he's not paying attention, allowing Ganta to get him with a close-up attack. While I do like this section, it feels undeserved when dude was doing this before he gets hit.
Do you have any idea how fast I am? I'm fast as fuck!
While on the other hand, Takami gets her insane ass knocked the fuck out with a headbutt of justice. She honestly just allows this to happen and then has self-awareness that this is insane. Yeah, it's a little bit crazy. You should have just killed him. But no, you were scared because he was approaching you menacingly. What the fuck? The anime ends with Ganta helping a group escape, but things go horribly wrong with most of them getting killed because of an insider. In the end, Ganta stays, even if he can escape, because he still has friends left in the prison. Now I need to mention this because this was a point a lot of people made about the show back in the day. The manga is different. So I don't know what forbidden technique was used to spread this misinformation, but it's impressive. There are only two differences between the anime and the manga that I found, and that's this scene that's playing right now with them sitting on the building. It does not exist in the manga. And there are also some characters introduced in the manga that don't get shown in the anime, but they could easily be introduced in season 2. After the anime, Ganta ended up being put in solitary confinement for a week, and that is where the manga continues. He stays in Deadman Wonderland so he can help his friends escape. The anime just had an open-ended last scene, but somehow people made it seem like night and day between the two. In case you are curious, the manga ends with a fight between Ganta and Shiro, where Shiro admits that she wants to live. This references the start of the story where Shiro makes Ganta admit the same thing. Everyone gets back to normal life while Shiro is in a coma. The last panel of the manga is her waking up. To clarify, before all of this, there is an arc that actually makes Deadman Wonderland close. I've skipped a lot of the manga, of course, as I'd rather not yap about a mediocre story for the next 20 minutes. So if the anime was not so different from the manga, why no season 2? There are two main reasons. Its Blu-ray sales were bad when the show was released. And while the studio that animated the show did go bankrupt, they didn't own the IP, so it could get a second season. But the belief is that licensing the first season to streaming services will make them more money than making another season. I'll put a video in the description that dives into more details in regards to this whole topic. So let's reel back in with me talking about what makes this show suck and what I enjoyed. I think the OP still hits even after 10 years. I actually go back to listen to songs like Monster by Skillet, and OP reminds me of a more toned down version of that song. When I was young, I definitely enjoyed it a lot more, but after hearing any song too many times, you'll start to like it less. The theme of the show is very good, even if the execution is not perfect. The insane idea of making a theme park that's also a prison is very much reminiscent of gladiator arenas. But with the idea of blood-bending powers and insane criminal characters, it very much creates a different setting. Character development is present for the protagonist. He changes from a crybaby, piss boy, into someone that stands up for his beliefs and friends. This happens in 12 episodes, but is a little hard to notice with the show being packed with shit happening all the time. As for the problems with the show, like I mentioned, the story is not very good. Things like Shiro's split personality and the way the poison colors operate creates holes in the writing. The colors could have a shock or explosive function to actually stop prisoners from fighting back. But for the sake of the plot, they don't do shit. Like if it even had a tracker or listening device inside, it would ruin a lot of the story, or at least it would make things a lot harder for the protagonist to achieve his goals. Another problem I have is Shiro wanted revenge on Ganta because he was the one that was originally going to become the wretched egg. So after killing his friends and him ending up in Deadman Wonderland, why doesn't she just make his life harder rather than helping him? If she did that, the odds of her getting killed by him would increase, but rather than that, she befriends him. Her actions would be explained if she did have two people inside of her head, but apparently there is only one Shiro according to what happens later in the manga. Her loving Ganta makes this even more stupid. You can make the argument that she changed her mind, but her actions make it seem like she never wanted to be killed in the first place. Like I've mentioned in previous videos, weak story writing is the one thing I hate the most. The pacing is bad even after rewatching it, which made me confused. It's not like this is always a bad thing when you know how to present information in an interesting way while also not making it elaborate. This would not be as much of a problem if we got a continuation for the anime, because these weak sections of the story could be used as foreshadowing. The show can be a little bit too edgy. The best example of this is when two girls get captured, and then we have implications of a live grape showing this to the whole prison if Ganta does not show up. You can make the argument of this being used to make the character in question hated, but I just think it's weird. I think the girls' lives could have been threatened instead, and it would have the same effect. I understand that people might disagree with me, and I kind of understand why, because the whole point of the show is to be fucked up. Deadman Wonderland is definitely not as enjoyable as when I was younger because I've grown up in many ways. I expect a lot more thought to be put into the story with less annoying and bad-written characters. The plot is overly convoluted, and rather than that making it better, I believe it harms the show and overall story. It still can be an enjoyable watch, but if you've seen it before, I don't recommend revisiting it. While on the other hand, reading the manga will probably be more enjoyable because of the show's pacing problems, not because of the small differences between the story. At the end of the day, we're never going to get a second season, and if you're really interested in finding out the whole story, just go read the manga, or watch a video of somebody covering it. And if you enjoyed this video, you should definitely check out some of our other videos. I'll put one on the screen right now for you. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video, and hopefully we'll see you in another one.
Meat have any questions?
Yeah. How big are those titties?
I'm a G.